Hello. Today, instead of having class like we normally do, you're going to watch this video of what we're normally would do, what we're going to learn today. And then after you get done watching this, what you need is paper, pencil. Hit the pause button when you want to take notes or do some practice problems. And then we're going to come back and practice during class today, what you've done here. So we're going to evaluate algebraic expressions. We're going to define variables, and we're going to write algebraic expressions. And you should have watched the video the last couple nights, and you have an idea of what algebra is, and some of these terms will be things that you already covered. The vocabulary: variable, algebraic expression, algebra, coefficient, and defining a variable. A variable is a symbol that represents an unknown quantity. Most of the time we use letters. He said that on the video. An algebraic expression such as n plus 2 is an expression that contains variables, numbers, and at least one operation. So in this case, the operation would be addition. Sometimes it's multiplication, division, or subtraction. So again, this would be a chance to pause, write down a note, know what a variable is, know what an algebraic expression is. And I want you to take algebraic expression a little further. There's two different things. There's an expression, n plus 2. Then there's an equation, n plus 2 equals 6. And on test, you're going to see on test, it's going to tell you to evaluate expressions. Evaluate. What they're going to do is tell you n equals, if n equals 4, evaluate the expression n plus 2. Well, you'll plug 4 in for n, and 4 plus 2 equals 6. Now, I know that sounds like solving an equation, but by solving an equation, that's all. The answer here is going to be 4 for n, but you're going to see evaluate expressions, solve equations. These are words that kids always get confused. So I'm trying every year for the last 3 or 4 years, I've tried to make sure students understand the difference between when it says evaluate and solve, what an expression looks like, what an equation looks like. So then there's algebra. Algebra is a branch of math that involves expressions. In algebra, multiplication sign is often omitted. And you saw that yesterday on the video. 6D is 6 times D. 9S is 9 times S times T. A to the third power. We don't put A times A times A. We put A to the third power. And that number in front of a variable is called a coefficient. So the coefficient of 6D is 6. The coefficient of 9ST is 9. Then I put something in here so you can see. Mn looks like it doesn't have a coefficient, but it does. It's 1. But when 1's the coefficient, we leave it off. So there is a coefficient there. If you were asked, the coefficient's 1. Same thing with A to the third power. It does have a coefficient. It just happens to be 1. Okay, now you're going to practice some. So first, every one of these, I'm going to show you how to do it. And then I would ask you to pause to do the next one on your own. Then I'm going to show you how to do it and pause to do the next one on your own. And then I'll give you the answer afterwards. So on this one here, it says evaluate 2 times the quantity of n plus 3 if n equals negative 4. Again, you notice it says evaluate because it's an expression. So what you're going to do is replace n with negative 4. Next, you're going to evaluate inside the parentheses. So you do negative 4 plus 3. Remember order of operations. Everything inside the parentheses first. So negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. Then you multiply. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. It's parentheses first, exponents. There are no exponents, and multiply comes with divide. And we multiply 2 times negative 1, we get negative 2. That's what you do when you evaluate. All you do is plug. It's plug and solve. That's all it is. So don't make it any harder than that. You just have to be able to. Anyway. So go ahead and pause Evaluate this and see if you get it right. I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to take the pause time. Okay, hopefully you're back and here it is. 3, and then I'm going to put the 6 where the t is times the quantity of 6 minus 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. 3 times 2 is, in fact, the answer is 6. Make that make sense for you. If you don't get it, go back to the previous problem. Go back to this problem and see what you're having problems with. This is where also you might come to class on 1:30 to 2:30 for the intervention time. Hey, I didn't get this part of it. Maybe we spend 3 minutes going over it and you're like, okay, I see now. So email me, send me a message. I didn't get this part of it. Or wait till Monday's class. Well, today, we're actually doing this today. So wait till we get to it in class today and ask at that time. Evaluate. Here's another expression. There's no equal sign here. This says if W equals. Now there's 2 variables. It's no different. One thing I would tell you is when you have 8W, put a parentheses in place of the W, then put the 5 in. When you have V, put parentheses, because again, that shows multiplication. And parentheses make it easier. As time goes along, you'll see why parentheses make it easier to work with. Okay, so now you have multiply, subtract, and multiply. The order of operation says we're going to multiply both 8, 5, and 2 times 3, and then we're going to subtract. 8 times 5 is 40, 2 times 3 is 6. And then we subtract, we get 34. So you need to know your order of operations. You need to know how to plug these numbers in, and then you just solve. Okay, you do one. 6s minus 3t if s equals 4 and t equals -2. Don't forget to put parentheses for the s and the t, and then plug the numbers in, the 4 and -2. Pause it, solve it. Welcome back. Should look like this. 6 times 4 minus 3 times -2. 24 minus -6. Again, we're doing 3 times -2 is -6. Don't forget the minus. Now you need to remember the integers. When you subtract a negative, that's the same as adding a positive. 24 plus 6, and it equals 30. So all that stuff we've been talking about all year long, here it comes back now. You need to know how to do your integers and work with them. Now all they're doing is adding an exponent to it. Remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, parentheses, exponents come before multiplying. So we're going to do this where we plug the 3 in for y. And again, we need to put the parentheses. We can't put, without the parentheses, it becomes 43 to the 3rd power. That's not going to work. It's 4 times 3 to the 3rd power. So we put parentheses, replace the y with a 3. We do exponents first, so it becomes 3 to the 3rd power is 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 9 is 27. We multiply or add first. We multiply because multiply comes before addition. Multiply is 108. And then we do 108 plus 2 is 110. You do one. 3m squared times minus 4. 3m squared minus 4. Pause it. Practice it. Okay, you're back. Here we go. 3 times -3 squared. -3 squared is 9. -3 times -3. Remember, to the 2nd power, that means you're going to multiply -3 times itself twice. 3 times 9 is 27 minus 4. The final answer will be 23. If that was too fast for you, slow it down, pause it, look at it, think about it, make it work for you. Then you got words. We're going to find a variable and we're going to solve. Athletic trainers use the formula 3 times 220 minus A over 5, where A is a person's age. That's where they define it. They're going to tell you what A is. So we're going to define, or it's going to define a variable for us, where A is a person's age, to find their minimum heart rate. Find Latrina's minimum training rate if she is 15 years old. Well, 15 years old is an age. So we're going to plug that 15 in for A, then we're going to solve. So we're going to put 15 in for A. Once again, parentheses get done first. 220 minus 15 is 205. We're going to multiply a fraction bar. We do everything on top. We do everything on bottom. Then we take care of the division of the fraction. So 3 times 205, 615. Then we're going to do 615 minus 5, divided by 5. And you'll see that's 123. Her minimum training heart rate is at 123. Okay, we did that. You do this. The formula for Fahrenheit, sorry about that. I put it all in. It's sloppy. The formula for Fahrenheit to Celsius is 5 times the quantity of F minus 32 over 9, where F equals the temperature in degrees. Find the Celsius equivalent of 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And again, I wrote big. It's hard to write with this pen, but work with me here. That'd be 5 times F minus 32 over 9. I know Fahrenheit's a temp, where F equals the temperature degrees in Fahrenheit, and it tells me here in the problem 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So I know I'm going to plug that 77 in for, so it defined it for me. It defined that variable F as degrees in Fahrenheit. Then it gives me that in the problem. Again, this is not a question, this is a problem. So then we plug 77 in for F. We do everything in parentheses first. That's 45. 5 times 45 is 225. 225 divided by 9 ends up being 25 degrees Celsius. Marissa wants to buy a DVD player that costs $150. She already saved $25 and plans to save an additional $10 each week. Write an expression. Now you're going to write an expression. So we've defined the variables. We've evaluated the expression. Now you're going to write one or a couple. Write an expression that represents the total amount of money Marissa saved after any number of weeks. After any number of weeks. So the first thing is the word savings of $25 plus $10 each week. So they took all those words there and put it down into words of this right here, just a small amount. Savings of $25 plus $10 each week. Now note, they kind of put a distractor here. She wants to buy a DVD that costs $150. They don't put that. It just says that represents the total amount of money he has after any number of weeks. So you kind of forget that first sentence right now. We'll come back to that. But for this problem, you ignore that first sentence. Variable. We're going to define a variable. Let W represent the number of weeks. You can make it anything. You use your first initial if you want, but a lot of times we use the variable that has the initial of what we're looking for, which is weeks. We're going to use W. Try to stay away from I, O as variables. Obvious. I mean, I's a lot of times look like ones. O's look like zeros. So try to stay away from those, but W is not a problem. And the expression is 25. Look back up here to words. 25 plus $10 each week. Plus 25 plus 10 times however many weeks you're talking about. That's how the expression be written. 25 plus 10W. 10 times W, which looks like 25 plus 10W. Once again, the great thing about doing it this way, you can pause it right now. You don't have to go at my speed. And you say, oh, okay, I see. Or you might already have it and ready for me to move on. But you get to make that choice. Leah has already read 20 pages of a book. She plans to read 5 pages each day from now on. Write an expression that represents the total number of pages she will have read in D days. They define the variable for you. She's already read 20. She plans to read 5 pages each day. Go ahead and pause and write this. Okay, you're back. It's 20 plus 5D. She read 20 already, plus 5 pages each day. Now you're going to do something with that here in a minute. Now we're going back to that $150, Marissa. She needs $150 for that DVD player. So we're going to use the expression 25 plus 10W. We're back to that again. A couple problems ago. Is 11 weeks going to be enough time for her to be able to buy that? That's what so you wrote the expression. Now you're going to evaluate the expression to see if 11 weeks is enough time to get $150. So we replace the W with 11. We have addition and we have multiplication. Again, we multiply first. 25 plus 110. 135, she needs 150. So the question is, does she have enough money after 11 weeks? And the answer is no, she doesn't have. Okay, now you're going to use the one you worked on. The expression 20 plus 5D represents the total number of pages Leah read in D days. Will Leah have read more than 60 pages in 7 days? So again, what they'll do a lot of times on these tests, they'll have you write the expression, and then they'll have you evaluate the expression with something else they give you. If you write the expression incorrectly, you're obviously going to miss, there's a good chance you're going to miss the actual question part of it. It's important to get that right. So you plug in 7 for D, and 7 times 5 is 35. 35 plus 20 is 55. So the answer is no. After 7 days, she will not have read 60 pages. That came out of order, sorry. 20 plus 5 times 7, 20 plus 35, it will not have worked right. What did we learn today? What did we practice and did we learn today? To evaluate algebraic expressions. That's where you you have an expression, not an equation, an expression. They tell you what the variable equals. You plug it in and follow order of operations and you solve. Don't forget you have a calculator too. Define variables. Most of the time the variables will be defined for you. Sometimes you'll end up having to define it if they want you to write the expression. Try to keep the variable, the letter you use, try to keep it with, if it's weeks, use W. If it's days, use D. If it's height, use H. That just makes it easier for everybody. And finally, to write algebraic expressions. So those are the 3 things I need you to get from this. What we're going to do next is I need you to go to Alex. Alex has some good stuff on this, and we're going to work from Alex instead of slides today. I need you to get the Alex done ideally before class is over. That's what my job from the rest of the period is. As people get done, get on the Alex, and I'm here to help you if you need it. Also, you can use Alex to help you if you need it. So I'm done with this. Thank you, and I will see you, I'll see you in class.